So one of my favorite shows on TV is NBA on TNT. They are hilarious. Charles Barkley, Kenny, Shaq, EJ. I mean, the original crew is the best. I mean, it's the best thing on TV, in my opinion. And Charles Barkley, when he gets things right, he's so fun to listen to because you're just sitting there cheering him on. But then every now and then he misfires. And you're like, oh, Chuck. Oh, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? So the other day, when talking about the new, what's called the Live Golf Tour, it's really just the Saudi Arabian Golf Tour. He said, when talking about Phil Mickelson and the money they threw at him, I don't know, 100 million, 200 million, some insane amount of money they threw at Phil Mickelson. And Charles Barkley said, are you kidding me? I'd kill a relative for that amount of money. And he's like, even one I like. Now, look, he's joking. Of course, you're not going to kill a relative for that. But the sentiment, the heart of it, the sentiment at the core of it there is, like, don't be an idiot, take the money. Well, look, I would argue, maybe I'm rare here, but I would argue that his position is idiotic. Because you have to, think about what you're really doing. If you're taking money from the Saudi Arabian government to do what's called sports washing, which is like, let's try to normalize the image of Saudi Arabia by having them fund, Western cultural activities. So it's a way to really help them improve their name. What you're doing is and this is not hyperbole. What you're doing is the equivalent of, like, in 1939, taking money, millions of dollars for your sports league from Goebbels to, like, so Nazis aren't so bad, right? They funded our sport. That, and again, some people might say that's extreme, that's Godwin's law. No, Saudi Arabia is literally doing a genocide in Yemen right this second. Literally. Bombing hospitals and schools and open-air markets. They are causing famine by blockading the country. Kids are dying. They're starving. They're withholding medicine from the country. It's as evil as it gets. And all because they don't agree that the Shia Houthi government took over. They wanted their Sunni ally in there. And this is what they're doing. They're destroying a country. And so I don't think that's inaccurate. I think it's very accurate to make that comparison. So, but everybody thinks of it just in a different context. Like, oh, whatever, they're our ally or whatever, so I guess it's okay. No, it is the equivalent of, in 1939, taking money from Nazi Germany because they're offering a shitload of money for you to play your goofy sport. It's just, there's zero, you have to be totally dense, morally, ethically, to do that. And they are. A lot of them are. So now Charles Barkley, you guys can see the title here. Let's just listen to his exact words.
I don't do with this selective prosecution about things, people, the public. Everybody picks and chooses. I just think it's funny they're more worried about civil rights in Saudi Arabia, a place 99.9% of people in the United States have never been. And all of a sudden they're worried about civil rights in Saudi Arabia. That kind of gives me a chuckle. I said, you don't worry about civil rights of people here in the United States. But
the U.S. government isn't funding a golf league. The Saudi Arabian government is funding a golf league for the specific purpose of sports washing their image. So it is blood money going to these golfers. Why would anybody start criticizing the U.S. and our civil rights record in the context of a golf league being funded if the U.S. isn't funding a golf league? Now, if the U.S. government starts funding a golf league and somebody wants to chime in and say, I don't really want to take this money because the U.S. government is the government that did an illegal and offensive war in Iraq and killed 1 million innocent Iraqis. Fair point. I'm going to look at that person and say that, hey, that's pretty, that's a moral stand you're taking. I get it. There is no U.S. government funding of a golf league. There is a Saudi government funding of a golf league. And you cannot compare the sins of the PGA Tour, and they have done things that are bad and their business models messed up, etc. You can't compare the wrongs of the PGA Tour to the wrongs of a genocidal regime. You can't do it. God, this point is so bad.
All of a sudden, when guys start taking money, they're like, well, I'm worried about civil rights in Saudi Arabia. And that just makes me laugh. I says, why don't y'all get worried about civil rights here in the United States? Let's worry about that before we worry about what's going on in Saudi Arabia.
And by the way, a lot of the people who do have a moral objection to the Saudi thing are the same people who do talk about issues we have in this country. Because as a general rule, if you tend to actually have moral and ethical considerations in your life, you kind of apply it broadly. And so, yeah, a lot of the same people who are criticizing the Saudi League are the same people who are criticizing human rights violations within the United States. Same people who talk about, like the illegal torture that was going on at Guantanamo Bay and the elimination of due process and police brutality or whatever. So, it's just... Look, he's on the front lines of trying to normalize the Saudi Arabian government buying an entire professional sport, which, by the way, is exactly what's going to happen in the long run. Because the PGA Tour can't compete, because they don't have an infinite amount of money. So now you have Greg Norman, who's the world's most ruthless, soulless capitalist, who would sell his mother for $1. You have that guy, who's, the leader of this league, and you're just buying off people left and right. And honestly, it was like a basic morality test. And the people who went there first have the fewest morals. Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson. Then you got the next wave of, who was in the next wave? Bryson DeChambeau and people like that, who I used to like, right? And so Saudi Arabia is buying a sport to whitewash their image. And every single person who agreed to it is aiding and abetting it. Because they'd rather take that guaranteed payday than still be rich, but not get quite as much money. So... Anyway, I hope you feel good about yourself, guys. Charles Barkley, I love Charles Barkley, but man, when he swings and misses, he misses so hard. He acts like, well, it's just it's just sports. It's just more money. Like, of course they're going to go in this direction. Of course they're going to do that. No, everything is politics. Literally everything. And that's not just my opinion. That's a fact. Everything you do from when you wake up until when you go to bed is political. And where you decide to butter your bread, who you take money from, when the strings attached to it, of course that's inherently political. And you're open to scrutiny when it's a genocidal regime that you're taking the money from. So there was an ad that just came out the other day, because now there's a live tour event at Trump's course in Bedminster, New Jersey, and the 9/11 families groups are running ads calling out all the golfers. And saying, well, what happened to Never Again? These assholes funded 9/11. 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudis. What happened? And so they have a vicious ad. So what I would say to Charles Barkley or anybody who's defending that tour, okay, go talk to the 9/11 families victims' faces. Tell them exactly what you think to their face. And then let them respond to you. And just sit back and listen. Listen to their arguments. And then tell me you feel so good about yourself. So anyway, at the very least, he's exposing that he's amoral. But you can make an argument potentially immoral too. I don't think Charles Barkley would actively want to harm people or anything like that. That's crazy. But clearly, he's willing to do whatever mental gymnastics are necessary to accept and value the paycheck over other things. And I find that disappointing. I do. I mean, you guys know, I fucking refuse to do ads for shit I don't believe in. Like, I've been doing this show since 2012 full time. In my entire time doing this, I've never even talked to an advertiser. Why? Because I don't like advertising, and I think that's kind of unethical. So, am I so different? Right? Like, yeah, I get it. That's a higher degree of, like, the moral consideration and ethical consideration and stuff. But you're telling me these guys couldn't say no to money from a genocidal regime if it just because it was double or triple what the PGA Tour was paying them when they're already rich? Don't tell me that. I don't have that low of an opinion of humanity that I don't think a lot of them can't say no. And plenty of them did. But we'll see how they hold out, and we'll see what happens to the PGA Tour in the long run, because when you have infinite money, you can snuff out the competition, and that's what they're trying to do right now. And Charles Barkley is going to sit on the side and cheer it on. Because, we do bad stuff too, bro, so that means when other people do bad stuff, we have to actively support it and help them. That's, at the heart of it, his argument, and it's really dumb. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.